This is one of those questions that sounds almost too obvious to ask until you actually start digging into the specifics, and then it turns into one of the most genuinely fascinating rabbit holes in animal behavior research. Imagine a pair of elephants in the African savanna, Grace and Lulu, who have been inseparable for years. They're often seen walking side by side, using their trunks to playfully nudge each other, sharing meals, and even mourning together over the loss of a calf. Do animals genuinely form friendships like humans do? And if so, why does this happen with such consistency across vastly different species? The first named concept to consider is conspecific affiliation, sometimes also referred to academically as intraspecies social bonding. This is the tendency for animals of the same species to form strong preferential bonds with specific individuals. In dolphins, for example, there are documented cases of alliances, where males form long-term partnerships. One study found that these alliances could last over 20 years, with individual dolphins spending 70% of their time within these tight-knit groups. Then there are chimpanzees, whose complex social structures include lifelong friendships. Researchers have observed that chimpanzees will often spend over 50% of their daylight hours grooming and socializing with their chosen friends, offering them food and even supporting them in conflicts. This sounds like it completely contradicts what we might expect from animals, which are often presumed to operate purely on survival instincts. But the twist lies in understanding that such relationships often increase the individual's survival and reproductive success by creating coalitions for protection and cooperation. These friendships can, in fact, be strategic. So these examples of conspecific affiliation suggest that friendships are not just happenstance, but are deeply beneficial, aligning closely with survival mechanisms. Yet this still leaves us with another question. How do these bonds form so robustly, and how are they maintained? Enter emotional contagion, a term also known as affective state transmission. This is the phenomenon where individuals share emotional states, creating stronger social bonds. For instance, in prairie voles, research has shown that they exhibit heightened levels of oxytocin, often dubbed the love hormone, during periods of close interaction. When one vole is stressed, its mate will often show signs of stress too, illustrating emotional contagion. In dogs, a fascinating study revealed that when one dog is anxious, others in its group will display signs of anxiety and may even attempt comforting behaviors like nuzzling or licking. Dogs can recognize and respond to human emotions in similar ways, showcasing their incredible capacity for shared emotional experiences. But here's where it gets more complex. Not all animals exhibit this capacity. Some, like certain reptiles, show very little to no emotional contagion. This isn't because they're cold or indifferent, but rather because their survival strategies don't necessitate such social bonds. Their evolutionary path diverged in such a way that forming tight-knit groups isn't advantageous. Understanding emotional contagion helps us see that these friendships are more than just social contracts. They're emotional investments. They rely on shared experiences and emotional resonance, which deepens the connections between individuals. This leads us back to another puzzle. How do these interpersonal dynamics manifest physiologically in animals? Let's explore social buffering, also referred to as stress attenuation through social contact. This is the biological mechanism by which the presence of a conspecific can dampen stress responses. In sheep, for example, studies show that the presence of a familiar flock member can reduce heart rates and stress hormones by up to 50% during a stressful event. Similarly, in guinea pigs, the presence of a bonded partner has been shown to lower cortisol levels, the main stress hormone, by approximately 30% compared to when they are isolated. Curiously, the exception here is solitary species like tigers, who rarely, if ever, seek social interactions for stress relief. This might seem like a contradiction, but actually highlights an evolutionary divergence. Solitary animals have adapted unique ways to cope with stress, which may include territorial behavior rather than social support. Social buffering demonstrates that the physiological benefits of friendships can be as significant as their emotional aspects, providing a direct link between social bonds and physical health. This makes us wonder, how do animals even recognize these bonds in the first place? This brings us to recognition systems, scientifically identified as cognitive templates for individual identification. Many animals, like elephants, use vocal recognition to identify and remember each other's distinct calls. Studies have shown they can differentiate between hundreds of individual calls, which facilitates forming and maintaining bonds across large distances. In bats, a fascinating study revealed that they can even recognize the smell of their roost mates, distinguishing them from other groups. This is crucial for bats that live in huge colonies, ensuring they can reunite with their specific groups for warmth and safety. However, in some animal species like fish, which have less developed recognition systems, bonds tend to be less individualized and more about schooling behaviors to avoid predators. This seems like an exception, but it actually confirms how recognition systems evolve based on ecological needs rather than arbitrary social preferences. These recognition systems underscore that animals can have surprisingly sophisticated ways of identifying and nurturing social bonds. This inevitably leads us to ponder, what role does play have in solidifying these friendships? Now let's consider social play, sometimes academically referred to as affiliative play behavior. Play is a vital part of bonding across many species. Wolves, for example, spend approximately 15% of their active hours engaging in chase games, which strengthens group dynamics and reduces aggression. Similarly, in primates like gorillas, playtime often includes elaborate games of tag and wrestling, which not only help young gorillas learn social cues, but also reinforce bonds with peers, with play sessions lasting on average 20 to 30 minutes each. Yet, in species like sloths, which are known for their slow-paced lifestyles, play is almost non-existent. This is less a contradiction and more an insight into energy conservation strategies. For animals where resource scarcity is a constant threat, less energy-intensive bonding methods are crucial. Social play highlights that the investment in friendships isn't just serious business. It's often about joy and mutual enjoyment, which adds resilience to these relationships. This connection between play and friendship begs another question. How do animals communicate their friendly intentions? Delving into ritualized signaling, also termed friendship signaling pathways, we find interesting methods animals use to communicate intentions. Birds like the African gray parrot use specific vocalizations to indicate friendliness, with studies documenting that certain calls can increase group cohesion by 25% during foraging. Dolphins, too, use a wide range of vocal and physical signals, including synchronized swimming and jumping, which are believed to be friendship rituals that strengthen social bonds. In contrast, some insects like solitary wasps lack these signaling pathways, and their interactions are minimal outside of mating. This doesn't indicate a lack of social capacity, but rather reflects different ecological pressures and communication needs. Ritualized signaling shows us that beyond forming friendships, maintaining them involves complex communication strategies. This leads to yet another probing question. How do these friendships impact the larger group dynamics? Finally, we have social network complexity, or as scientists call it, multi-layered social structure dynamics. In meerkats, their social networks are intricate, consisting of groups where strong friendships help maintain group stability. Research indicates that such bonds can influence group leadership and decision-making, affecting the entire group's survival chances. Similarly, in orcas, familial pods with strong internal bonds can collaborate better during hunts, increasing their seal catch rates by up to 40%. But with animals like polar bears, which are largely solitary, social networks don't play a significant role in individual survival. This absence is a stark reminder of the diversity in animal social strategies, adapted to very different environments and lifestyles. Understanding social network complexity allows us to appreciate how individual friendships can influence entire communities, leading us back to Grace and Lulu, the elephants. Their bond isn't just a side note in the animal behavior textbook. It's a crucial element of their survival strategy, impacting everything from stress relief to social positioning. So, do animals have best friends? As we've seen, the answer is a resounding yes, but it's deeply nuanced. From emotional contagion to social buffering, recognition systems to social play, and ritualized signaling to complex social networks, animals demonstrate a rich tapestry of friendship that echoes our own experiences. Just like Grace and Lulu, the bonds they form are vital threads in the fabric of their lives, illustrating the profound and varied ways life on Earth finds connection.